Live. So hey everybody, we're live. So even for everyone here in person, we appreciate it. So we have like about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 people here in person. So it's pretty cool. So thanks for all of you that are joining us online. So this week we are back in action just like we were last week. But this week is what we call one of our regular general meetings. So we kind of alternate between company information sessions and general meetings. So this week is a general meeting. So this week we actually have very appropriate because next week is actually the career fair. So it works out perfectly. So this week we have our Get Connected LinkedIn session, professional networking, and handshake, which are all really important skills and knowledge for all of you to have. So that way, like I said, we got the career fair next week on Thursday before our meeting. So it's a good opportunity to get some practice, working on your elevator pitch, kind of getting to talk a little bit and go from there. So we'll have our MISA president come up now and he'll go through the presentation slides that we have because he has some really good content that he wants to kind of go through. And then after we finish that session, then we'll kind of end it off doing some breakouts. And then from the breakouts, we'll have an officer hopefully in every breakout room. And we'll kind of go through some mock questions, sort of a back and forth conversation that you'd have possibly with like an employer or someone at the career fair, or maybe just somebody that's a hiring manager. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over now to our MISA president, Mr. Jonathan. So give a nice round of applause for Mr. Jonathan Rivas.
What time you want me to go up to?
Leave like 30 minutes, maybe, so like 5:45.
Okay, no worries.
So you can do like 30 minutes.
What's good, everybody? Everybody in attendance, everybody in the Zoom meeting. You heard last week, you know who I am, but I'm Jonathan Rivas, the current president of MISA. So we're going to go over one of the biggest things that you may need in your professional career right now. So let me get that open and then let me share this stuff. Okay, share screen, share that.
Hello.
Am I going? Oh, I got you. Thank you, Professor Al. Professor Campbell, my bad. Oh, here you go. Yeah, cool. All right. So can I get a thumbs up in the chat? Let's just make sure everybody's could see my presentation on the Zoom meeting. You guys see it? All right, cool. So this session is Get Connected, networking, LinkedIn and handshake we're going to be discussing. So, who here knows what networking is? You can say in the chat. Anybody knows what networking is? Okay, Professor Campbell, can you explain what networking is?
Networking.
Right. So if you didn't hear that, Professor Campbell said that it's about connections to help further your career, making sure these connections will better, I guess, upgrade where you're at right now, kind of. So what isn't networking? Just don't go up to somebody being like, y'all hiring? Exactly like that. Don't be like that. Don't make it like a one-way conversation. Don't be like going up to people, making them feel uncomfortable, you know, etc. Don't make it all about yourself. Obviously, any career path you want to see what the perks you're getting, how it's going to further you and your future, but just don't make it like all about yourself. And another important thing is, a lot of people don't know that when they talk to somebody about a job or they kind of are interested in something like that, a really important thing is to send either like a follow-up email or a follow-up call, something like that. It kind of puts you ahead of the crowd. So here's a quote by Keith Ferrazzi: "The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity." Okay. So what is networking? Networking is having a genuine conversation with somebody. Having like a real conversation with somebody is a lot better than having a fake conversation. So don't go up to somebody saying, "Hey, my name is Jonathan Rivas. Nice to meet you." Right? Don't do that. Be like, "Hey, my name is Jonathan. Nice to meet you. I'm really interested in, this job opportunity." Yes, don't do that. That's totally fake. That'll make the person super uncomfortable. So definitely don't do that. Yeah, super creepy. Important thing is to exchange information. I always have a couple resumes in my bag. I have a couple business cards. Unfortunately, I don't have it on me right now, so don't ask me for that today. But I always have business cards. I always have resumes on me. I always have like my contacts ready. I already see Professor Campbell's giving out cards. It's really important. You might think it's old fashioned, but having that kind of quality of you really distinguishes you from the crowd. And also know your value. Don't think if you don't have experience on something, or you may think that you're not worth this job. That's not true. Personality is a really important aspect of anybody that's hiring. And so knowing your own value, what you can contribute, even if they're not asking for that in, let's say, their job description, make sure they know what you're good at. So here's statistics. Research has long shown that anywhere from half to upwards to 80% of jobs are filled through networking. That's completely true. At least I know for my job, I got it through networking through a bunch of people that I know. So, what to expect when you're going for a job? So usually if it's like a big organization, someone from an HR department or a manager for the department that you're trying to get into will reach out to you to discuss certain specific things. So they'll discuss their company. They'll get into what to expect from working in the field. Also, if you reach out to some people in this industry, you should also ask them to give you advice on the industry and provide insider career tips. So we always have speakers coming in here. You have all the MISA officers here. If you have questions even about classes, that's what we're here for. If your class is about the industry, that's what we're here for. This is a networking organization. So this is what you need to ask people. Don't be afraid to ask people. There's not such thing as a stupid question. A lot of people ask me like, "Hey, what," like, remember last week, somebody asked me, "Hey, if I change out this computer, would I need to change my monitors?" And they're like, "This is a really stupid question," but not really. A lot of people have different stages of knowledge, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask. Asking questions a lot better than faking it. Sometimes you got to fake it and make it in certain cases, but so if you're going for like the job fair, like Professor Sweet talked about coming up next week, or you're going for an interview, always research the company that you're interested in to understand what they're about, their qualities, what they're looking for. Check their job descriptions and their qualifications. Always prepare questions. Don't expect the company to ask you all the questions. They're really looking for you to ask them questions. That kind of puts you ahead of the crowd. And like try to build like somewhat of a connection with the company to make sure that you're remembered, especially if you're going to a job fair. There's going to be 50 to 100 people like coming to them with all these resumes asking the same thing. And it's all about the energy and the vibe you're giving up to the company. That's really important. So also remember, if you're going to a job interview, remember who you gave your resume to, or who's ever interviewing you, remember their name. Or if you're coming to a speaker, for a MISA session or you're coming up to me, try to remember my name. So this is kind of important. What is my name, Courtney? Okay, thanks, Courtney. Okay, so there's a bunch of recruiters always trying to hire college students. I think it was this week we got a recruiter looking for jobs for Deloitte in the weekly MISA email. So there's always recruiters trying to get college students. I know in a lot of cases people are like, I'm graduating, but they're always asking for people with 2 or 3 years of experience. And of course, there are situations like that, but the perks of at least being an FAU, we have some connections, and being in MISA, we have some connections. So what recruiters look for people is if it's a good fit for the culture, you know. Like I'll probably say vibe like 100 times in this session, but it's all about being on the same wavelength as the organization that you're trying to join. They're also looking for someone with the right skills, so always try to stay on top of the current industry standards and look at how fast you think you may progress in a certain role. But they're always looking for professional people. So obviously, when you're talking to somebody, try to look somewhat presentable. So always try to research the company, prepare elevator pitches. I may know what an elevator pitch is, but in here, you can raise your hands. You don't have to answer me, but an elevator pitch. Okay, that's good. So let me explain to you what an elevator pitch is. So especially in a job fair like the one next week, you don't have a lot of time to like give someone your entire biography of yourself. So elevator pitch is just a 1 minute A to B line of who you are, how can you help a company. So that 1 minute just has to be the 1 minute to express how important you are and why they should hire you. So always have your resume and LinkedIn up to date. I'll get to LinkedIn in a little bit. Always be confident in your body language. You know, even if you're like super nervous, like right now I'm talking to you and I'm pretty chill right now, but like before this, I'm like freaking out. I'm talking to like 40 people right now. That's gonna be a little scary, but you know what? Just believe in yourself, be confident. And also just like I said, be genuine, have a conversation like that. And like I said, remember their name. Okay. So what do you want to talk about in a conversation with somebody that's like possibly going to hire you or somebody that you're trying to network with? So talk about, let's say it's the job fair, talk about the job fair, talk about how impressive it is, all these people are coming out to it, and how productive it is. Try to just start a conversation, kind of understand current events that's going on in the world. You may be able to bring that up. I remember last year during the last job fair, that's when all that GameStop and all that crazy stock stories are happening. So that's a great thing to bring up because it's like a crazy story, you know. Try to, like I said, research like the company before is really important. So if you're going up to like an HR person or you're going up to like the CEO, COO, or somebody in the organization, you may be able to research them on LinkedIn beforehand, not trying to be creepy and like come up with like personal stuff about them, but hey, I like understand you're in this position. How do you like this position? How long have you been in this position? Like that kind of stuff, you know. And then try to fish for a topic, you know, like once you feel the vibe, you'll be able to figure out like something that you might be able to bring up. And then just understand your surroundings. If you see something crazy, if you see somebody like walking with like food in a tray, carrying something, and then they drop it all over the floor, don't keep talking like nothing happened. Be like, oh wow, that's something, right? Don't be like in your own zone. Oh, however you want to. And also, once you get that little like fire going, you want to continue it. So ask a lot of questions. Don't be like super like Sonic the Hedgehog and go like that. Obviously, just go with the flow on the questions. And don't like be like a teacher's pet with it. Have your own perspective, you know? If you don't understand something or you're like, hey, that's a little weird that the company does that. Don't say weird, that's maybe a little strange word, but say, hey, what's the reason that the company does it instead of that way? Kind of like questions like that. And it's okay to ask some people like specific personal questions. Don't go like talking about their family and stuff, but be like, hey, um, how's the hours with the job? Like, what do you do for fun? That kind of questions, that kind of keeps the conversation going. So, and how to end the conversation, really important. Always follow up, especially if it's somebody that's recruiting. Get their information and email them usually the next day saying, hey, I really love the conversation that we had yesterday. I'm really interested in this opportunity. This is my information. Please feel free to reach out to me whenever. I appreciate any opportunity given to me. Thank you so much. Kind of like those like kind of emails. It's really important. Not a lot of people actually do that. And it's another way to have that person remember you, because obviously you're emailing them, so they have to look at it. So, and then obviously if they still you still like worry that they might not remember you, throw in like a reference that you had in a conversation you had the day before. So, and obviously try to connect on LinkedIn. We'll get on LinkedIn real soon. I'll probably say LinkedIn like 100 times this semester. So we'll see how it goes. So, we have a virtual career. Is it a virtual or is it a physical one next week? Okay, so we have, I don't think I updated this slide properly. So we have an in-person and a virtual slide. Career fair next week. So don't think about it as just being jobs. If you're still like on your undergrad and you're still like trying to find an internship, still go to the career fair. The career fair is not just to find a job. It's a great way to find internships. So, and then, like I said, once you're the career fair, try to have your resume as well as a LinkedIn. So who here has a LinkedIn account already? Okay, so I got like 60% here has a LinkedIn account. So you need a LinkedIn account. It's plain and simple. It's okay if you haven't had it yet and like you're a freshman, like a lot of people don't know about it yet. But now that I'm telling you to make a LinkedIn, please make a LinkedIn. It's pretty much like the most essential piece of social media you can have in your life in terms of like furthering your career. It's where every primary source of hiring goes through to check on your LinkedIn page. It's probably the biggest networking source as well. So having a LinkedIn is pretty much essential in this time of technology to try to network with people. So if you haven't made it yet, it's super important. And I know we have the Career Center liaison coming in a couple of weeks. They'll probably hash on that as well. The Career Center will also help you review your LinkedIn too. So if you're kind of iffy about your LinkedIn, the Career Center is definitely a place to go to review your resume. They'll actually help you build your resume, and they can also review your LinkedIn. Super important. It's a free of service. If you're an FAA student, go to the Career Center. They'll hook you up. Okay, I should get paid for that. Okay, so now that we're at the networking part, ending of the networking part, the main keys that we should get from this portion of understanding networking is creating a genuine connection with someone, and also don't expect anything in return. So don't if you had a genuine conversation with somebody, don't think that they're gonna hire you. It's okay if you don't get an email back or you don't get the job. Like, don't automatically expect you're gonna get that. A lot of cases you might not even hear back from this one. Don't expect anything in return. That's an important thing. Make sure you know your value. Don't undermine your value. It's really important to make sure that you know who you are. It's always good to make new friends through networking, even though like whoever you're networking with might not give you a job. making sure you still have a connection with them might lead to another job that they may have from a friend or a colleague. So always keeping these connections important, and make sure you stand out for others from others. So like I said, sending that follow-up email and having a genuine conversation, which you could bring up through the email, is really important. Okay, so importance of LinkedIn and networking. 3% of people who apply on a job board land a job. So a lot of people are like, hey, is it me? Why am I not getting hired? I'm like, I sent like 500 applications. I only heard back from like 2 people. Trust me, it's not just you. It's a very competitive market. People are always trying to further their career. So it's definitely a kind of frustrating, but you're not alone. We've all applied to many places before we've heard back from one. So just keep trying. You're not alone. But when it comes to LinkedIn, 87% of recruiters actively utilize LinkedIn. So like I said, if you don't have LinkedIn, you're only at 13% of your possibility of getting hired. So make sure you have a LinkedIn. Again, make sure you have a LinkedIn. And 85% of jobs are filled through networking. I feel like that's probably even a little higher. But networking and LinkedIn are essential for furthering your careers. So I kind of made like what a little like preview what a LinkedIn page should look like. So this is our former president, Christian Chavez's LinkedIn page. So like I said, obviously being somewhat professional is important, but you kind of want to make yourself stand out. So you don't need to have a suit and tie in your LinkedIn page if the vibe you want to give up is like you're a fun kind of person that wants to be in a certain culture where you could be a little bit more of yourself. So if anybody be near Christian, he is definitely not a suit and tie person. He cannot be in a cubicle, and he cannot just be answering calls all day. So he made sure his vibe in LinkedIn is, hey, I'm a pretty lively person, so I need to be in a lively organization. So he has his profile picture showing like he's having fun. He likes going out having fun. He has his background photo. It's kind of fitting his vibe. And then also you need to have like a headline, kind of just like a quick gist of yourself, and then a summary. The summary is kind of basically like you're about. So he kind of talks about himself in a way which it kind of I brought up like the background, the elevator pitch. Your about section is basically kind of like your quick elevator pitch about yourself and kind of what your goals are and what you could bring to the organization. Experience is important too. So a lot of people are like, hey, I have 0 experience with the workforce. It's okay. Like, if you really think about it, we've all had certain experience. If you've done any like volunteering work. I'm in the IT career path right now, but I worked at Target for 2 years as a logistics manager. I put that in there. It has nothing to do with my degree, but it also shows that I have some managerial skills, leadership skills, stuff like that. So like really think about like what you've done and think about the skills that you've learned from that. And just having that as an experience, a lot of people still look at that. Education. So some of you here has not graduated yet. That's fine. And your LinkedIn for your education, just put, hey, I'm pretty sure it's you put like your degree that you're working towards and the expected graduation date after that. So that's how you put your education. Obviously, if you put that, you obviously don't have to put like your high school stuff or anything under that. Just make sure you just have your college stuff there. That's fine. So being in information systems, licenses and certifications are something that's often brought up. So being certified in certain things is kind of important for certain job markets. But you could be one of the certifications that a lot of you probably easily get is getting your Office certifications, your Excel certifications. It's something that I think pretty much everybody here is efficient at, especially if you had Professor Sweet at ISM 2000. Shout out. And then eventually
Or
you probably
Professor Campbell 3011.
Yep. Shout out Professor Campbell. Sorry about that. 3011 is important too. And then so skills and endorsements is also important. So like I said about the Excel and like Google like ecosystem, you could put all that as your skills. And then you have endorsements. So on my LinkedIn, I have all that stuff, and then I've had a few people endorse me. I think Emily endorsed my Excel, so appreciate you. And then also like put your interests. What do you like? Your hobbies and stuff. Interests like that kind of makes people feel understand you as a person instead of just as a person on a piece of paper. So put that as well. So that's all very important things to put on your LinkedIn. I know it's a lot to take in at one time, especially if you don't have a LinkedIn yet, but it's something that you could progressively work on. Don't like think you need to make your LinkedIn page perfect in one day. Just take one section at a time, and then by the end of the week, it'll be it'll be solid. And a LinkedIn should always be upgrading. So don't think your LinkedIn's set. So it's going back to the profile photos and background. It's a great way to show up your vibe. So like Joseph, he's kind of like more of like a semi-casual guy, but he wants to show off like, you know, his vibe, his hometown, where he's living, just like cool, breezy way. Then we have the great Emily. So obviously she's a little bit more professional with the power suit. Appreciate that. And obviously she got the MIS degree. So her background's really like technology oriented. So it's a great, cool background to put, and it kind of combines her vibe together. So that's important. The great Shannon Stewart, who's a boss, one of the best speakers we have come in every year. One of the IT managers at Modern Restaurant. Definitely his vibe definitely gives off on there. And then if you're like maybe like a CEO or you're more team oriented manager, you might want to put your team in the photo just to say, hey, where I'm at, we're more team oriented. So that's where Laszlo kind of has his background like that. And then, so just like I said, talk about yourself. There's different ways to talk about yourself, but just keep it pretty to the point, and you should be good with that. And then obviously add maybe like your elevator pitch to your LinkedIn. That's something you could do. Add your resume, maybe add your socials if you're like a media person that kind of wants to show your like maybe your photography and stuff like that. And like I said, look out for like experience is fine. Like this one person, they worked at Walgreens, and then they kind of worked their way up. It's all good to put any experience you have, like volunteer work and etc. Like I said, put your skills in endorsements. Like I said, Excel. Everybody should put that as a skill if you've had any Excel training. And then any like Google ecosystem stuff. You put that, and then kind of like make sure you just try to make connections through LinkedIn. I think the lowest is like 250 to get like the good stars or something like that. So always get connections. Like everybody in here should be connecting with each other after this meeting, getting their LinkedIns, building connections. It like broadens your profile. Even if you don't speak to this person again, this connection that you have with this person connects you with every connection with that person's connected to, if that kind of makes sense. So that kind of makes sure that you're just making sure you're networking that way. So I'm gonna run through Handshake real quick for just a couple minutes, and then we'll get into our breakout room sessions. So Handshake is kind of like FAU's micro LinkedIn, I guess. It's a way to like do job searches through the university. Handshake's only for college students, so anybody that's hiring through Handshake is only looking for college students. So it's definitely a great way for a college student that's like kind of worried about like people asking for years of experience to not worry about like your experience, and because you understand that people are just hiring you straight out of college, which is a great thing to do. So it's basically your Handshake profile is basically going to be set up exactly like your LinkedIn profile, your about section, your education, when you're going to graduate, your hobbies, your interests, everything like that from the LinkedIn slides. Just implement that into your handshake profiles. And like I said, you're always going to get messages. Even if you're not interested in a job person that's reaching out to you for a job, make sure you always reply to somebody, that person that's sending you a message. It's just the proper etiquette, even though you may not be interested in the job. So make sure you're always replying back. So I put like a couple jobs that's currently or internships currently through Handshake. So there's currently an intern for a system analyst at GM Family Enterprise in Deerfield Beach, so not too far, right down the road. So that's, if you're interested in internships, that's one thing you get through Handshake. And then another internship through Office Depot, which is right down the street. They're looking for IT audit intern. And then I guess they're doing $20 per hour for the internship. So that's pretty dope. And so, like I said, we have career fair coming next week. And I think we have another one coming in March. So Handshake, they're always bringing in like guest speakers, companies coming in as well for at FAU. So I think the FBI has a couple people coming in to talk about their like diverse agent portfolio program that's coming in. So help diversify their organization. And then we have like Atlantic Key Energy coming in as well for a meetup on February 9th. So at the Sean Stein Pavilion. So always go on Handshake, look at events coming up. That'll help. Okay, so I think we're at the breakout room section. So I'll let Professor Sweet take over real quick for a couple minutes. If you have any questions while we're setting this up, send it through the chat and I'll answer it through the chat as well. Thank you, everyone. Give it
Nice job. Nice job. So hey, everybody. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stop sharing so we can see everybody for a minute. So we're gonna jump over to the breakout rooms now. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. And basically what we'll do